I know it's a t-shirt. I don't have any fancy clothes left. I watched a movie last night. Here's what I think about it. Overlord. The ads made it seem like it was going to be a B movie, zombie type gore fest and just cheesy maybe even. And just, I don't know if it was maybe the AC/DC song for the trailer or how as it was going or like how much it was pushing that J.J. Abrams production, like producing behind it. But it didn't seem like it was going to be really good. But let me tell you, it's fantastic. The first hour or so is just World War II hard, thrilling action, and it's all practical. The beginning is practical. There's a scene where a plane blows up, and the plane that you see is blown up. That fire is real, and the people falling out of it are real, according to what I've read. And then after all that thrilling World War II stuff, the rest of the film is just kind of a zombies, kind of super soldier type thing going on that borders Captain America plus Nazi zombies. But this is a fun movie. Yes, sometimes it does scare you. There are jump scares. There's thrilling scenes and intense scenes. But it's still overall fun. There's a lot of gore, so be prepared for that. Or not necessarily gore in some scenes as it is just like something gets stabbed and maybe it gets twisted and like the type of like gore that just like, you know, like gets under your skin a little bit. But this is a B movie with A plus quality strewn throughout it. I'm not saying it's entirely A plus quality. It still kind of feels like a B movie, but it's better than that. I think most of the acting was great. I've never heard of almost anyone in the entire cast. There's so many practical effects, as I've kind of touched on. There's a German officer that has a wound, and that is all prosthetic. I mean, I'm sure it's touched up a little bit with CGI and stuff like that. But, I mean, 5 hours sitting in a chair just to get this thing put on, like this scar put on him, well, scar, damage to himself on him. Just 5 hours in a chair, and I always appreciate stuff like that. You know, I give major kudos for people like Dave Bautista who sits in the chair for hours to dress up as Drax the Destroyer or Jim Carrey when he did The Grinch. Real quick, this is like a last second add-in continuity. This movie has a crap ton of it, and I appreciate that. You kill someone like, I don't know, 30 minutes into the film. At the end of the film, like an hour 15 minutes later, an hour 20 minutes later, and movie runtime, but was probably like months in the production, and then literal like 12 hours or 15 hours, maybe 6 hours in film time, like in the movie time, that the same things are there. I love that kind of stuff. For instance, certain people were gunned down in a spot, and then like later on in the film, the bodies are still there. And stuff like that. It's very, very small things, but I think that screams a really, really, really good director in terms of having that keen eye to keep things in a certain place. I never touched on in movies like Bad Times at the El Royale, where the director had to do that for, you know, months, but it was all in the same 12-hour period in terms of the movie, so like everything had to be the same. That stuff should get more kudos once in a while, because it takes CinemaSins out of the job. All the military lingo and jargon are real as it gets. The use of Flash Thunder, Flash being the call sign to call out to fellow troops during the D-Day invasion of the airborne troops of the 101st Airborne, and then Thunder would be the reply to make sure that, hey, it's me, don't shoot. Also the use of a cricket, they would call it, like a little clicker that would, and then to go back to make sure that it's also the same team, essentially the same side. All the guns, tactics remind me of Band of Brothers, but that's not surprising because I was told by a very reliable source that a member of the Band of Brothers staff did work on this movie as well, which I think you could see it because there's so many things, since they are the 101st Airborne, like there's a lot of things going on. There's a Curhy chant, and just like stuff like that is like really cool that adds to the movie. And a film like this, you might have thought it was going to be bad, cheesy, bad CGI, bad acting, etc. But this movie actually succeeds in going beyond my expectations. My heart rate was up a lot, even when it wasn't the zombie stuff going on, the experiment stuff going on. It was just harrowing in terms of like, like, oh gosh, like, grip the person's arm you're next to once in a while kind of thrill. But I actually want to stay away from calling it a zombie film, because their creatures are zombie-like and they are dead that get reanimated. But where the film's going with it, it doesn't really get it. That word is never spoken in the film, and I don't think that's what they're going for. Like, yeah, maybe the audience is like the audience that plays Nazi zombies and stuff like that. Maybe they want it to have that kind of like sensation going in, but it's really not. It's just really creepy Nazi Germany like experiments going on here, and then it just so happens to coincide with D-Day. Like, the main leader that follows the mission throughout, like, he didn't know this thing existed. I feel like if there was going to be a zombie flick, there'd be the old classic, like, oh, one of the guys in the mission knew about this going in, like, knew that was the mission, but that was never the mission. The mission was never the experiment stuff. That was unknown. That was an extra thing in terms of the soldier's eyes that had to be dealt with. And I think that kind of makes the movie more, I don't know, not realistic, because obviously there's reanimated corpses, but realistic in the fact that, hey, this was just like, could you imagine if the Nazis had this type of experiments going on? I think that was the basis of the film. Not, can we do a Nazi zombie film? It was essentially, what kind of weird stuff can we do with Nazi experiments and put into a film? The director, Julius Avery, not J.J. Abrams, even though you only see J.J. Abrams in posters and such. He has only really directed A Son of a Gun that had Ewan McGregor in it. Mathilda Oliva, Jovan Adepo, and Wyatt Russell all, I think, did well. Maybe even a little bit better. Maybe one or two scenes where it was kind of rough, but then again, they all don't have a lot of credits in terms of filmography. But yeah, this movie, it's not a zombie film. It's a film that asks the question, how would Germany, that wanted to be a 1,000-year Reich, that was a thing, they wanted to be that long of a Reich, or reign, if you will, how would they have soldiers for that? And the experiments that led up to that, and what would happen if American soldiers, aided by some French personnel, what would happen if they saw that, and what did they do with it? And because of that, I give this film 8 out of 10. I really, really, really liked it. And I think a lot of people are giving it a lot of credit too. I think it's still at 80%, and it's still certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. And it's doing okay in the box office. I thought everyone did well. I'd like to see more stuff coming from everyone. I don't know how much J.J. Abrams had his hand in as a producer, even though his name's everywhere. I'm not sure if that was just to get, more people come into the movie. But whoever was overly in charge deserves credit, because, like I said, they advertised it a certain way, but it was definitely the opposite in a good way once you actually watched it. So if you like gore, World War II, or weird experiment stuff, you can go check this film out. Okay, maybe if you don't like World War II, like a person like my father would never want to watch this. He'd want to watch the first hour, but not the ending. So pick your World War II fans carefully if you go see it with them. But as always, my name is Clark Addison. I review entertainment because I care, and I'll see you guys in the next one.